Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Badood and my partner is Hamza Naveed, and our topic for this presentation is cryptography. So let's get started. When cryptography is mentioned, what is the first question which comes to your mind? That is, what is cryptography? Cryptography is a method of protecting information and communications through the use of code so that only those for whom the information is intended for can read and process it. Cryptography consists of two simple steps, which are encryption and decryption. Encryption is the process of converting normal message referred to as plain text into meaningless message, which is referred to ciphertext. And decryption is completely the opposite of encryption, which is the process of converting meaningless message into its original form. And as we can see in the cycle of cryptography, plain text is converted into ciphertext through the use of encryption, and ciphertext is converted into plain text through the use of decryption. And let's move on to the origin of cryptography. The art of cryptography is considered to be born along with the art of writing. The ideas such as power, battle, supremacy, and politics fuel the natural need of people to communicate secretly with selective recipients, which in turn ensure the continuous evolution of cryptography as well. The roots of cryptography are found in Roman and Egyptian civilizations. Let's move on to the oldest cryptographic technique, which is hieroglyphs. The first known evidence of cryptography can be traced to the use of hieroglyphs some 4,000 years ago by Egyptians. Now, you must be familiar with with the codes mentioned in the pictures through any Egyptian movie or book. Well, these codes were used by scribes who used to transmit messages on behalf of the king, and these codes were encrypted and decrypted by only those scribes as the messenger of the king. Let's move on to the second cryptographic technique used by the early Romans. The early Romans' method of cryptography, popularly known as the Kaiser-Shift cipher, relies on shifting the letters of a message by an agreed number. As you can see in the picture, "attack at dawn" is the original message, and when we shift each letter by 2, we get a meaningless message, um, which when decrypted back to its original form by 2, we get message "attack at dawn." And this method was used by the early Romans to secretly communicate with each other. Let's move on to our third cryptographic technique, known as steganography. In this method, people not only want to protect the secrecy of an information by concealing it, but they also want to make sure any unauthorized person gets no evidence that the information even exists. For example, invisible watermarking. As you can see in the picture, "attack the hell at GR" is a message which we are embedding in the picture, and we can see that there is no visual difference in both pictures whatsoever. There is a message hidden in the second picture, which can only be decrypted by the person whom the information was intended for. Let's move on to the evolution of cryptography. Improved coding techniques such as Vigenère came into existence in the 15th century. Vigenère coding consists of older cryptographic techniques like the ones we have discussed earlier. Only after the 19th century, cryptography evolved from the ad hoc approaches to encryption to the more sophisticated art and science of information security. In the early 20th century, the invention of mechanical and electromechanical machines, such as computers, provided more advanced and efficient means of coding the information. These consist of credit cards, transaction of money, electronic money, or the use of passwords in social media accounts, or any other which will be discussed in a moment. During the period of World War II, both cryptography and cryptanalysis became excessively mathematical. Let's move on to the impact to the cryptography and the importance of cryptography. It secures information and communication using a set of rules that allows only those intended and no one else to receive the information to access and process it. Almost all communications of sensitive data are done by software programs with file encryption capabilities. Without it, countries' information system would fall, and it is used in digital signatures and credit card transactions over the internet. Let's move on to its daily life use. Cryptography is used to secure all transmitted information in our IoT connected world to authenticate people and devices to other devices. Now, until here, we have concluded the origin of cryptography along with its evolutions and importance of cryptography in daily life. And from here on forward, my awesome partner Hamza Naveed will conduct the presentation. Welcome, Hamza Naveed.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Today's topic on cryptography. If I tell you about impact of cryptography, if all of the cryptographic engine functions stop working for a day, modern life as we know it will stop. We take some examples. Bank transaction will not go through. Internet traffic will come to halt. Cell phones will no longer functions. At this point, all of our important information would be exposed, and it then would could be exploited to do an unimaginable then to us. Now, goals of modern cryptography. The basic tenet of modern cryptographic system is that we no longer depend on the secrecy of algorithm used, but rely on the secrecy of the keys. There are four essential goals of cryptographic system. First is confidentiality, second is identification and authentication, third is integrity, and fourth is non-repudiation. First is confidentiality. What is confidentiality? Confidentiality is the information can be never be disclosed to someone authorized to see it. And second is identification and authentication. Before any information is exchanged, identity identify and then authorize both the sender and receiver. Third is integrity. Information must not be modified in storage or transit. Any modification must be detectable. Fourth is non-repudiation. Cannot disclaim the creation or in transmission of a message. This provides digital legitimacy and traceability of transaction. Now, types of cryptography. There are three types of cryptography. First is asymmetry keys, and second is asymmetry key, and third is hash function. First is symmetry key. Symmetry key. It is an encryption system where the sender and receiver of a message use a single common key to encrypt and decrypt message. सिमेट्री की बेसिकली ये होती है कि इसमें एक ही की का इस्तेमाल होता है जो डाटा को इंक्रिप्ट करता है और डिक्रिप्ट करता है. Asymmetry key cryptography. Under this system, a pair of keys is used to encrypt and decrypt information. A public key is used for encryption and a private key is used for decryption. एसिमेट्रिक की में दो किस्म की होती है. एक पब्लिक कीज होती है और एक प्राइवेट की होती है. पब्लिक की यूज़ होती है ब्रॉडकास्टिंग के लिए और प्राइवेट की यूज़ होती है ऑथेंटिकेशन पर्सन के लिए. Hash function. There is no usage of any key in this algorithm. A hash value with fixed length is calculated as per the plain text, which makes it impossible for contact of the plain text to be recovered. Now, I I I take some examples of cryptography. You can see it in the screen. First is secure communication, end-to-end encryption, storing data, storing password, electronic money, time-stamping, e-commerce, care broadcasting, cryptocurrencies, authentication, data tracing, disk encryption. Time pass typing is a protocol, and it's used in public keys. Electronic money is similar to bank transaction from one place to another place. The money transfer. And storing data is a large amount of data stored in easily in a computer using cryptography. Secure communication means we can communicate with each other without any fear, with the help of cryptography. And e-commerce. The internet is not safe for e-commerce that usually involves tremendous amount of transaction. And broadcasting cryptography problem of delivering contact, for example TV programs and data DVDs. And next is marking worth of cryptography. The global encryption software market size was valued at 2.98 billion US dollars in 2018. You can see it in tables and graphs. Market size value in 2020 is 4.0 billion US dollars and the revenue forecast in 2025 8.7 billion US dollars. Now growth rate is 16.8% from 2019 to 2025. You can see the graph. Now freelancing. What is freelancing? Freelancing or a freelancer or a freelance worker are terms commonly used for a person who is self-employed and not necessarily committed to a particular employer long term. Freelance workers are sometimes represented by a company or temporary agencies and other works independently or use professional associations or website to get work. For example, Fiverr, Upwork, and other examples similar to freelancing give a work. Freelancing has become a significant career option today, not just among adult people at their old age. The young students too much to have started pursuing their career in the field of freelancing. With the rise in the scope of freelancing, the industry is in growth vastly. You can see it graph nowadays. The graph rate is high, other than old times. नेक्स्ट इज फ्रीलांसिंग एंड क्रिप्टोग्राफी क्रिप्टोग्राफी में फ्रीलांसिंग का काम क्या है क्रिप्टोग्राफी हैज बिकम अ मेजर पार्ट ऑफ आवर लिव्स एंड विद ग्रेटर power become comes and with greater responsibility to so with increase in its use there is need for more professionals so it increase the number of freelancing jobs in cryptography with handsome payments you can see it in pictures 200 to $300 and 2500 to $4500 as many picture and many pictures you can see it. Then next is any question for related to this topic. So thank you, Allah Hafiz. Thank you for your time.